Hey everyone, Kyle here. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain a little bit. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, and so much more. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. So download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.fm. They'll have everything you need all in one place. I can speak from my experience. It's been awesome so far and super easy. So go check it out, guys, and we'll see you later. All right. Welcome, everyone. This is Our Travel Experiences. I'm your host, Kyle Rasmussen, and today I have with me Laura. Laura, how are you today?
Hey, Kyle, I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you?
Doing well. I'm excited to talk about some of your travel experiences. I know as I found your Instagram page that's all about travel. It got me excited to learn more about where you live. So I'm excited to talk about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm excited to share some more about Long Island for people who either haven't been or just don't know that much about it.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, let's just kind of start with just tell the listeners a little bit of your background and how you kind of started this travel journey.
Sure. So, for about 10 years now, I've been a teacher in a local district here on Long Island. I've lived most of my life on Long Island as well. But up until the last couple of years, I hadn't really done that much local exploring. And even before the pandemic hit, I had begun to become even more interested in possibly blogging or starting a travel blog of some sort. And I was beginning to follow more accounts and look at what they were doing. And I really wanted to be able to try to do that too. And then the pandemic hit. And so my work schedule changed a little bit. And from teaching from home, I was able to kind of find the time to start and create Teach, Explore, Repeat, which is my travel
Mhm.
blog and my Instagram. But because of the restrictions during quarantine, it wasn't like I could do much traveling, beyond Long Island. So I began to really just focus on the places I could go in those early months. And that was all Long Island.
Yeah, very cool. So it sounds like COVID really kind of helped you start this journey.
Without a doubt, it did. It kind of gave me that time as I was, again, like I said, teaching from home. So I kind of had a little bit more freedom in my mornings and my afternoons to really plan out and start the idea of this blog and then begin to just kind of see where I could travel to locally, where I could explore. And I was amazed at how many just open, beautiful spaces I could find that were, pandemic and quarantine safe to still go to during that time that I had no idea
Mhm.
existed for, 3 decades on this island.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I look at Google Maps and see Long Island, like I don't think people realize how big it actually is.
It's so true. It's I mean, the name is right there, right? It comes from the
Yeah.
Dutch from back during exploration when they first settled it. They, after they kind of scaled it at the time, they literally named it Long Island, and it stuck from there. And it really is from, you go all the way out to Montauk, which is the furthest east, on the South Shore, and then all the way west to, even though, we don't necessarily consider Brooklyn and Queens a part of Long Island, it is geographically on the island. So from there
Mhm.
to Montauk, it is very long. I think it's like 118 miles or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like well, at least where I live out in Washington State, that's going from Seattle to basically almost all the way across the state. And that's a big area to cover.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, even from where I am, I'm pretty central on the island, and to drive out to Montauk, it's a couple hours the journey.
Hmm. Yeah. So what I guess I'm curious about the travel blogging. So how did that come about? Has that been like blogging about some of your experiences?
I have to say, I've always, since I was little, I've always enjoyed writing. And, even in second grade, I remember I was writing like like books about the best class trip ever to Florida, and I have my friends like make chapters in it also. And so I always like knew I was going to be interested in writing and knew I wanted to do it, but over time life gets in the way. And then, over the last few years, as I've kind of continued to like document, and I mean, I've been documenting my travels for a while, but as I put more of an emphasis on documenting my travels, I just realized that this is something that is just so fun and interesting to do. And it's, creating these memories and to be able to share them with a community like I found on Instagram, especially, has been incredible. I mean, I've connected with people all over the world and just the nicest
Yeah.
people in these travel communities that you'll meet, from not just around the United States, but also globally. And it's just really, really cool because it's just everybody who has this shared bond of we just like to travel, we like to educate others about it and educate ourselves in the process as well and share what we know.
Definitely. Yeah. What have been some of your favorite blog posts that you've made?
No, that's a great question. So me personally, um, let me think. Well, recently I actually had the opportunity to recap some of my pre-pandemic travels. So before I had even started the blog, I had been fortunate to travel to Greece and Rome. I did a cruise out of Rome, of the Greek islands. So it was nice to be able to relive that through this post and to be able to write about it and share pictures from it and connect with others who have had similar experiences there as well. And actually, just yesterday, I got back from Nashville. So that's going to be something that I'm
Oh,
going to
cool.
I'm going to be working on that over the next couple of weeks and doing a big Nashville feature. It was an incredible city. So that I'm looking forward to also.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, Nashville's such a cool city. I love going to it. What do you like about the city?
About Nashville, oh my
Yeah.
God. I mean, we got in Friday night and it was just unlike anywhere I'd ever been. Just walking around, um, there's just live music everywhere, any time of the day. Friday night, then the next morning, we got breakfast, and 9:30 in the morning, walking down Broadway, and you're already like hearing live music blaring, and
Yeah.
people are already on, those buses, just partying, like the open air buses and the pedal taverns, and it's just everyone's there just for a really good time and for good music and really good food, which I mean, that the hot chicken there, it definitely is worth the visit.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. So when you're traveling around Long Island, do you typically like take a long weekend and go explore, or do you do like day trips? How does that work?
That's a great question. I usually do day trips, to be honest with you. I'm fortunate where I am on the island that I can go. I mean, besides to Montauk, which I have done a couple of day trips to Montauk, but when I go out there, I do like to stay overnight.
hmm
But other than that, like where I am on the island, like pretty central, I'm able to go east or west, and pretty much get wherever I need to get and be able to spend a good amount of time. In the early days of the pandemic, when I was first really starting out, I always loved the North Fork more than anything else. And that's where wine country is on Long Island. There's over 40 vineyards there. And you can go all the way out to Orient Point there too and catch the ferry if you wanted to. But there were a bunch of also, besides like the wineries and some of the other more well-known places, there's also so many beautiful just green areas to go out there. So I was spending those early blogging days kind of wrangling whoever I could to take with me and just drive out east just for a little while and explore a bunch of these spots that I had mapped out and I had on my list.
hmm
So yeah, it's usually a lot of day trips, but there's also a ton of opportunities and a bunch of local little boutique hotels and places that you can stay in as well.
Yeah, very cool. So do you typically like plan out an itinerary for the trip, or do you just kind of go explore and see what there is to see?
It depends. I usually do try to have some sort of a general overview, at least of where I want to end up. So that way I can kind of figure out what I want to do along the way. like this past fall, for example, a lot of, your basic fall things that you associate, like pumpkin picking,
Hmm.
all of that. There's a huge opportunity for that on the North Fork on Long Island. So for pumpkin picking, apple picking, things like that. But that you have to plan out because you definitely do get the crowds that go out there. So you want
Yeah.
to plan to be out there early. And then at whatever farm you want to go to, then when you're done, you can kind of just, you can always plan a detailed itinerary of where to eat. If you want to go get some wine or go to one of the cider mills, or you can just kind of wing it on your way back. But with the crowds on the seasons, you have to kind of plan it.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm guessing like for a weekend like Memorial Day weekend, there's probably a big crowd out there.
Oh, this is the official opening of Montauk. Really is this weekend. Yeah, so from Memorial Day to Labor Day, Montauk is vibrant. I went there 4th of July weekend a couple of years ago, and it is so much fun. But you definitely need to be prepared for just plan for the crowds, and it's still it's a great time now. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. Um, and I know for a lot of people, at least out where I am on the other side of the country, when we think about New York, we think, New York City, the big city, the skyscrapers, all of that. We don't really think about the rest of the state, and especially Long Island, which is right there, not too far from the city. It's almost like a completely different world. It sounds like.
Oh my gosh, it really is. And that's probably the thing I love the most about Long Island is when you go from west to east, you start out and it's the boroughs of Brooklyn and Queens. So it is still New York City, even though, like I said before, geographically on the island. And then when you get out a little further east, you have Nassau County, which is the smaller of the two Long Island counties. And it definitely still has more of, it's suburban, but you definitely still get more of the faster paced city feel. And then as you go out to Suffolk County, that's where I'm from, and that's where all of the the Forks are and everything. It's definitely more suburban. And then when you get out to the Forks, you pass farmland and a lot of sod farms. Long Island actually has a huge history with sod farming and duck farming. Actually, we don't have as many of the duck farms anymore, but there was a huge history of that for a while. But yeah, you get all the way out there, and then you get like the beaches as well on the north and the south shore. You have Fire Island, which is it's a pretty well-known strip of beaches that we have as well, and it's absolutely gorgeous there too. And then of course you have Montauk and the Hamptons when you go all the way out east.
Yeah, wow, that's such a interesting mixture, I feel like.
It is. It's like very diverse in its geography, I guess geography, but very diverse in its makeup, I guess.
Yeah. So over the last couple of years, what have been some of the places you've really enjoyed the most in your travels?
One of my favorite places to stop at, actually, and it's silly, but it's Long Island's, I would say it's probably our most famous roadside attraction. It's called the Big Duck, and it's literally this giant duck that is on the side of the road in this town called Flanders, which is pretty much close to where the two forks meets, actually, on the island. And it has this really cool history. It actually used to mark the site of a duck farm, like I mentioned before. We had a lot of those, but today it just has kind of become this symbol of Long Island. And it's just really, really cute to drive out there around the holidays. They decorate it. They actually have a whole lighting over there for Christmas time. And it's just a cute little spot just to drive past. And you can actually go inside, and it's small inside, but they have a little museum and this little gift
Oh, wow.
shop. Yeah, so I've been there in a lot of different seasons. So that I love. And then just a bunch of beautiful parks. Blydenburg Park, which is in Hauppauge, is absolutely gorgeous, especially in the fall. You get to see the foliage change colors. So that was a place that I'd never been to before, but it's 6.2. It's about a 10K loop all around. You walk it surrounds a lake, and it's actually got some historical homes nestled in the back in it as well. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
And then some of the other really cool places if you go a little bit further west into Nassau County on the North Shore, that's actually where what we kind of call the Gold Coast of Long Island are, the Gold Coast mansions. And it's actually where F. Scott Fitzgerald gets the inspiration for the
Mm.
West Egg and the Great Gatsby. So
Hmm.
that's pretty cool too, to visit there and just to see those houses is incredible.
Yeah, probably some really nice houses.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And some of them are, they call them like summer cottages, and I always get such a kick out of that because I will gladly live full time in your summer cottage.
Yeah, there you go. So now you said you're a history teacher, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what is some history of Long Island that you think people should know?
Oh my gosh, that's an awesome question as well. Long Island has actually it's got a pretty diverse history, to be honest with you. Um, when you start, like, even from hundreds of years ago, I think I'd mentioned before, it was settled by the Dutch, right? So
Hmm.
originally, it is part of the Dutch colony, but with New York as well. Um, and so you get that Dutch history in there. And actually, even when you drive out east on our North Fork in Southold, it's called, the town, there's this pretty cool, it's going to maybe sound a little morbid, but this pretty cool cemetery that's out there that actually has stones dating back from the 1600s, actually, from the Dutch. And then also, like, from the 1700s, you actually see some slave headstones as well, which is pretty crazy. So then Long Island, actually, my favorite, I think, Long Island history story is during the Revolutionary War. Long Island was instrumental. It was very loyalist, actually, but among the loyalists, you actually had a group of patriots who were involved in what some people might know as the Culper Spiring. And so they were instrumental in communicating between some of the different Long Island towns, especially this one town called Setauket, to Connecticut and to New York City, to get information to George Washington that was huge in really helping with the war effort. So the Culper Spiring is fascinating, and it's really based out of Long Island, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, those that sounds amazing. With the East Coast in general, there's so much history there. And again, Long Island's not a place to hear about, so it's fun to learn a little bit about that history.
Absolutely.
Um, so as you're traveling, and as you've done your blogging and built up the Instagram page and stuff like that, how has traveling changed for you?
I think I've just gained even more of an appreciation for it. It was something, when I was younger, we didn't travel a lot, but Disney was usually our primary spot in Orlando, which we would go to
Mhm.
every year. And I would get so excited every year to plan the trip and to plan everything out. And as I got older, I realized, how much I really love, like, planning things. And then just having all of that come to a halt, and having, all of these huge plans for summer 2020 and then 2021 just
Mhm.
totally change. It was interesting though, because it made you appreciate, appreciate what you were already able to do, and B, it made you not want to take anything for granted, and also not want to just put off traveling. And I
Mhm.
know, like, always finances, place in life can play a part, but if you want to, you absolutely can. You can budget, you can plan, and you can make it happen. And now that restrictions are being loosened more and more globally, I definitely would encourage anybody who really has been thinking about taking a trip, just to do it, just to plan for it, just to book it, and to just kind of figure that out and do it, because you never know when something like this could happen again. It's
Yeah,
already happened
definitely.
once in our lifetime. So that, I think, for me, it's been the biggest thing, where when I get an opportunity, I don't necessarily kind of like wait on it. I'm grabbing it more often than I would have in
Mhm.
the past.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I think that's probably been the case for me too. Is just seeing that, it can all be ripped away from you, whether you get sick and you can't travel anymore, or you're not allowed to travel because of a pandemic or something like that.
Right.
Uh, so you never know if you'll get an opportunity again, and life's too short, so you got to go for it.
Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, travel to me is just, and Instagram and building this travelers community that, has been so incredible, has also just shown me and kind of reinforced the idea that travel is just so incredible. You just get to go and immerse yourself in the culture of the place, and you just go with an
Mhm.
open mind, and just explore and enjoy wherever you are in the moment. And, when I was younger, I was a pretty picky eater. And as I've gotten older, that's one of the things I've gotten so much better with is eating. And I try always, whenever I'm traveling, to at least experience whatever the food is, no matter where I'm going. Like Nashville, I was going to have that hot chicken, even though I don't always do well with spicy. I was like, I need to have hot chicken there. And I did, and I did not regret it at all. And taking food
Yeah.
tours wherever you go, just asking locals for the places that aren't necessarily like those super touristy spots,
Hmm.
and finding those little niche places or those hole in the wall places. And that's really where you get to experience the culture of a place. And so
Yeah.
Instagram's been great in showing that to me also, and kind of opening my eyes to doing more of that as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I would definitely say that's one of my biggest tip for people is go ask the locals where they like to eat. That's where you're gonna get
Exactly.
the real food of that place.
Exactly. I actually, a few years ago, when I was in Greece, we were on Santorini, and we actually kind of lucked out. We were on a tour, but it was just myself, the family I was traveling with, and our tour guide. So it was just a small group of us. And instead of taking us, in like the city center in Ia or something to eat, he actually took us to this super small hole in the wall restaurant that was right on the Aegean Sea. I tried so hard afterwards to try to like find it on a map and to find the name of it so I could record it and write it down. It's such a local spot that it's really like not even like I was looking on the maps and I couldn't even find it. I was doing so much research I had to give up eventually. But everyone in there, you walked in, it was just some local fishermen, everyone was speaking Greek, and I was like, this is the kind of place that I want to go to. And it was the best Greek food I've ever had in my life, hands down.
Oh man, I want to go there now.
I know. I wish I had the name for you. I'll see what I can do. I'm determined to find this thing. I want to go back.
Yeah, that's funny. I find it funny, and I'm glad that you talked about being a picky eater, and kind of travels opened you up to other foods and stuff like that. Because I am the same way. I used to be one of the pickiest eaters on the face of the earth, and as I've traveled over the years, I've just been open to trying the foods of the place I'm traveling to, and now I would say I eat a lot more types of foods and different things that I wouldn't have had I not traveled.
Right. Oh my God. Absolutely. I did, I guess my first really cultural food tour I did was in Finland about 5 years ago. And and I didn't love it, but we had a small tasting plate of one of the things was pickled herring. And I can't say I
Oh
loved
yeah.
that, but I tried it. Duck, which is, again, like, I'm not a huge fan of duck, but I know a ton of people love it. So for what it was definitely good. And this one, I always feel so bad saying I liked, but I had some reindeer, but it was
Yeah,
so good. And I hate that I love
it
it because I just
is.
kept picturing Rudolph, and I was like, this is awful, but it was so delicious.
Yeah, I agree with you. I had reindeer when I was in Finland as well, and it was honestly really good. I really enjoyed it.
Right? I was like, I have to try this, and then I did, and I was like, I knew I was gonna like it.
Yeah. Where all did you go in Finland?
We just actually stayed. We did Finland, Norway, and Sweden. So in
Okay.
Finland, we only stayed really in Helsinki,
Mm.
and then went over to Stockholm. And then in Norway, we did Oslo and Bergen, which was absolutely beautiful. But what about you? Where were you in Finland?
Yeah, I was just in Helsinki. I was only there for a few days. But I really liked Helsinki. It was quite a cool city.
Me too. And it's funny, like when we were there, for some reason, I'm a social studies teacher and I do pride myself on having a pretty good grasp of geography. But for some reason, I didn't realize just how close we were to, in Finland, you're right next to Russia, which was
Mhm.
crazy. And then also we're right by Estonia. I'm
Yep.
sure you remember that too. There were like those local ferries to
Mhm.
Estonia all the time. And we considered going on one. And then we didn't that trip, but I would love to go back and kind of make Helsinki my base and then be able to kind of travel around that area from there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I actually just talked about that in my last episode. I was in Helsinki and then I took the ferry across to Tallinn, Estonia,
Yes.
and then I went into Russia for a few days.
That's
That was
awesome.
such an amazing trip. And it was in the winter time too, which I feel like made it even better.
Oh, I'm sure.
But yeah, there's so many amazing places around the world.
I know. I mean, I want to go back even just to go even further north in Finland and try to see,
Mhm.
the Northern Lights, and to do that would be amazing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So what are some of your next travel plans coming up?
So, I actually, one of my best friends is getting married in England in July,
Oh wow.
and this is their take three attempt. It was supposed to be July 2020, and then they postponed it, of course, to 2021, and then we still weren't able to go then. So it is officially on this summer in England. So I'm gonna go actually into London and definitely stay there for a little while also, and then go down to Bristol where the wedding is going to be. So I'm gonna try to figure out what to do around that trip because I definitely would love to turn that into something bigger.
Mhm.
But that I'm definitely excited for in July. And then in August, one of my other best friends is getting married and we're doing her bachelorette party. We're doing a cruise. So I'm going to go to Key West for the first time, which I'm so excited
Oh,
for.
fun.
I
Yeah.
Key lime pie is like my favorite pie, so I'm already prepping myself for that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that'll be fun. I know I came back from Panama a couple months ago and flew over the Keys on just like a perfect day, and you could
Oh,
see the bridge just go all the way out. It looks amazing. Such a unique part of the world, I feel like.
yes. And it's been one of those places that's been so high on my list for a while now. And I'm just hoping to, that at least I'll have like the taste of it on the cruise. And then I can really go
Mhm.
back and just stay there for a couple of days and just enjoy my time there, as I've heard great things about it.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. What have been some of your favorite international trips that you've taken?
Oh, let me think. I mean, Scandinavia, that was the first time actually that I went to Europe ever. So
Okay.
that for me, and that was about 5 years ago. I actually started pretty late, but that was such an incredible trip to just, you know, experience the culture in these places. And, it's funny because we would go out at night and we'd be talking to locals and people, and, they'd be like, why did you choose Finland? Or, why did you choose Norway? And it was because it's such a great place to be. And look, I have a list of places globally to get to, but it was cool to kind of go somewhere that isn't necessarily the first super high in a lot of Americans like list to go to, and
Mhm.
and that was really really cool to be able to do, and like to see the fjords in Norway. We left outside Bergen and we the whole fjord tour was one of the most beautiful experiences. We the town that Frozen is modeled after. They modeled it after in that movie, and it seriously looks like it's out of these like beautiful like fairy tale storybooks.
Huh. Oh man, I know the fjords are definitely a place that is high on my bucket list to get to.
Yeah, that was an awesome experience. And then in Oslo, yes, in Oslo, I did my first zip line experience, and it was down an Olympic ski jump. So that
Oh
was a
wow.
yeah, they had like a whole Olympic park over there, and that was an awesome experience. It was so much fun.
Oh man. Yeah, it's fun doing those sorts of like unique experiences in other places, like zip lining or like hiking up a volcano or I don't know, just whatever kind of random thing is in that place. It's so fun all the things you can do out there.
Exactly, exactly. Like I feel like, I'm focusing now, when I travel on, definitely doing like some of the more popular attractions and things like that, but also like we already talked about, also enjoying like things that are native or local to that area, or
Hmm.
trying to find a really good like balance and mix of that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Um, I'm curious with the Instagram page and as as that's grown, do you have locations requesting that you come try a certain, try this restaurant or come to this city or something like that?
I'm starting now to get that. I've always been like shy when it comes to reaching out, and the more that I learn, the more like in order to get yourself started with collaborations and things like that, you do want to start to reach out a little bit. And I've been
Mhm.
fortunate to get a lot of brands who've reached out to me about using their products or wearing their products or whatever it's been. So that's been awesome. And so that's actually I had said, and I'm still very small in the Instagram world. I reached 4,000 a couple of weeks ago, but
That's
I had
awesome.
said, I mean, I'm so excited about it. But I said to myself that I would try to like take a bolder step then and begin, because I have, a pretty good media kit now, and I think I can try to take that first step and reach out to someone, and even a local hotel, and see what I can
Mhm.
do. But
Yeah.
yeah, I had a pretty cool place a couple weeks ago. Myself and two other bloggers from Long Island, we were able to get space in this pop up. It's called a pop up speakeasy, and it was just this
Oh
really
wow.
fun place to just go and take pictures. And they had music playing, and that was a lot of fun. So we took a bunch of pictures there, and that was such a cool experience. So that was an awesome experience to be invited to participate in by my friends. So that was really cool.
Hmm. Yeah, so it sounds like the travel blogging world, it sounds like you've made some friends and it's kind of become a community.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, it's been awesome. I'm actually already talking with a couple friends who I met who live in England, either in London or just outside, about, when I go over there, being able to connect with them and go, spend an afternoon or lunch or breakfast with them, which would be so cool. And even here on Long Island, I've met some awesome people who are local, and we've been able to share experiences. I actually have an adventure coming up with a couple Long Island bloggers next month. We're going to do an out east adventure. So it's been really nice, and I'm telling you, like the nicest people
Hmm.
are just in this community. Like, people are supportive and kind, and like just lift each other up, which is really, really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like for the people that have traveled a lot, it just gives you a different perspective on life. I feel like it makes the world so much smaller. You just
Mhm.
realize that, no matter what culture or religion or beliefs or whatever you have, like we're all just here for a short time and just trying to enjoy life and, might as well be nice to people while you're here.
Exactly. And that was something that, as the pandemic kind of, I mean, at least hopefully is, you know, at bay, at least, like at least
Mhm.
it's hopefully at bay. That's something that I hope that people continue to remember. I know, I remember in the early days, people were saying, it's almost like, we're getting back to that like quieter, slower paced lifestyle. And so that's something that some of us, like we're kind of saying, like, let's try to continue just to appreciate, like in the sense that you want to have more of appreciation for everything. So let's
Mhm.
try to continue that even when we have our freedom again, and we're able to go out again, and and it's safe to do so, and people, and we're not afraid anymore. And now I feel like in some cases, like, people seem to be more impatient than they were beforehand,
Yeah.
but I definitely am with you in the fact that I feel like, you know, there we only have a finite amount of time here, so why wouldn't you just spend it being the best version of your, or at least working on being the best version of
Hmm.
yourself and enjoying this world, because who
Yeah.
knows after.
Yeah. Definitely, definitely. So I want to go back really quick. You mentioned budgeting at the beginning. What are maybe a couple budgeting tips you have for someone looking to travel?
So I would say, first of all, do always do your research, right? So
Hmm.
even if you think you have a really good opportunity, like I said before, don't wait. You don't want to wait. And that actually happened to me. I was supposed to visit my friend in Charleston, and I had a really good flight price a couple months ago, and then we were like, oh, let's wait until Tuesday, because usually Tuesdays is a good day for airfare. And life happened and got away from me, and then I started to check back again, and that was when gas prices were beginning to rise, and all of a sudden I
Hmm.
could not find anything reasonable. So I would say, do your comparisons, shop around, but also don't delay either. If you do find something that does seem good, like, don't try to be like, oh, maybe I can get even $50 cheaper at that point. Like, I
Hmm.
wouldn't delay for something like that. If it's a couple of $100, $100, sure. um and also read reviews on things,
Yeah.
depending on how you feel in terms of budgeting, about looking for things that maybe you don't necessarily just do certain add-ons with things that can save you money as well. But read reviews, look at things that are great values for the money, look at things that might be a tourist trap, and if that's not your thing, then you don't need to spend the money on that.
Hmm.
um and just, I like to have some sort of plan in advance of what I'm going to anticipate spending my money on. So, for example, with Nashville, I went into the trip thinking, and I was going back and forth about buying boots there, because I know a lot of people who've gone there, they've bought boots, but I also have heard those boot shops on Broadway, they're tourist traps, they're overpriced, et cetera, et cetera. So I
Hmm.
went into this trip knowing that I potentially, that I did budget in my planning to buy boots if I wanted to. But, then I also, when we were there, I didn't just go into the first store there and just buy right away. I ended up going into a different store, and I mean, I may have still overpaid, but they were buy one, get two pair free. And
Oh wow.
I'm pretty happy with that, because the price I paid there was the same price for one pair of boots in the other place. So,
Oh
I
wow.
mean, tourist trap or not, I was happy with that, and I knew that I had that in my budget already, so I
Hmm.
didn't feel guilty buying those, because I'll wear them here. There's actually a lot of love for country music here on Long Island, and for that country lifestyle, believe it or not. So I will happily and proudly wear my 3 pairs of cowboy boots around
Yeah.
Long Island.
Oh, there you
um,
go.
but yeah, it's just be wise, set budgets. It's my friend and I were talking about possibly going to Vegas, and I really am not a gambler at all. I freak out and panic and don't know what I'm doing. But one thing, like, my friend said she did, and I know that my parents have done, and the couple times I've been to casinos I've done, is I go in with a set amount of money, and I just say, this is
Hmm.
it. And if it's gone, and that's it. And if I make on it, awesome. But like that $200 or $300, whatever it is, and that's it. That's all I'm gonna do,
Hmm.
and just see what happens from there. And that can really be applied to pretty much everything. You say, all right, I have this money set aside. So, how am I going to make that last, or what am I going to plan with that? And also, I guess when you're planning for something, that might be the time where sacrifice, if you like do something like every day, you get like an expensive coffee every day or something, maybe for the
Hmm.
time where you're trying to save money for your trip, you do it every other day instead, and you treat it more like, you know, um, like more of a treat instead of a daily habit, or you
Mhm.
stop going out to eat as much or whatever it is, just for a little while. That way, if you do need to be concerned about money, you are able to sacrifice for a little while in order to really make your trip a reality, and a one that you don't have to worry about money on.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, I always tell people that when they ask how I do all this traveling, I'm like, well, I do sacrifice, those expensive coffees or, a night out with my friends drinking or something like that. Like I
Right.
give up some other things because traveling is more important to me. And so that's when I want to put my money towards.
Exactly. Like I don't need to, and this is an issue for me, is I can't go into Marshalls or TJ Maxx and leave without anything, right? But when I know I have a big trip coming up, I will avoid going into those stores, because
Hmm.
I know like that $7 shirt, okay, but then that becomes five $7 shirts, and then so but just even little things like that, because that all adds up. And I think about that, and even the $50 I would spend at Marshall's, that could be a really nice meal out on vacation. That could
Hmm.
be
Yeah.
drinks out at night somewhere in a local bar there, when I'm traveling.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I feel like, especially with, how everything's really risen in prices these days, that's more important now more than ever.
Oh my gosh, definitely. Yeah, but with the gas prices going up also, that's definitely something to just be more mindful of. Also, just in terms of I'm not just gonna frivolously drive around, without.
Hmm.
And you were talking about planning itineraries before. This would definitely be more of the time, with gas prices the way they are, to be a little bit more conscious of your planning. And it doesn't mean to avoid going out on those big trips, or those long road trips, but to be more conscious of where you're going. And maybe
Hmm.
this isn't as much the time to drive around aimlessly until things calm down a little bit. But I mean, maybe, for some people that's not an issue, and that's awesome too. But for me, I
Hmm.
know, with gas, I definitely want to be planning my destinations a little bit more than just winging it, just to kind of save some money on filling up my tank.
Hmm. Yeah, well, I will say that's one of my biggest pet peeves of traveling with other people, is that we're always like trying to decide where to go, what to eat, that sort of thing. But when I'm traveling on my own, I always do the research beforehand of like, okay, I want to go see this place, and then maybe eat here. And so I figure
Right.
out, okay, how can I make this as efficient as possible so I'm not driving around and wasting my time in that
Right.
destination, and make it so maybe I can walk to all the places and break it up versus having to take a car or something like that as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even, that's one of the things that I enjoy, if it is a walkable area,
Hmm.
if it's a safe and walkable area, to be able to go out there and just walk around. I mean, unless, within reason, but I really prefer walking to destinations when I'm on vacation, because I feel like you get to, yes, you're saving money on Ubers or whatever. It's better for the environment also, which I always consider, I always think that's a plus. And also, though, it's exercise, and you're actually immersing yourself in that location even more so
Hmm.
than you would be, in a car or on a bus.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You might find some hidden gems that are, don't show up in the research or something like that as
Yes.
well.
Oh my God, absolutely. And you have the freedom when you're walking, just to like, you pass something, like you said, pass something that's interesting, you pop in, and it could be the best place that you've been all trip. You never
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, okay, any other fun or exciting stories you want to share about Long Island or any of your travels?
Let me think. Oh my gosh. I just, Long Island itself is, I just, I don't know if it's a fun story, but I just want people to know that it really is more than just the island that's next to Manhattan. It's like,
Mhm.
yes, we're close by. I can hop on a train. I can be there in an hour. And I mean, that makes for some fun stories going into the city and back, which is great. But, for anyone who's thinking of going here, like, definitely like come here and just see what it's all about, because there really are just so many fun and carefree places to go. Before I mention Fire Island. We've had some super fun adventures there, from singing karaoke at night to just having having a rocket fuel, which is the drink of Fire Island. It's a really fun beachy cocktail. So to just kind of enjoying your time there and taking it all in. And it's just one of those cool places that you just feel like, even for Long Islanders, we take a ferry and we're there, but it feels like you're on vacation. Even if you're just there for a day, you kind of feel like you've been transported to this spot. But yeah, just in general, come out, see what we have to offer. If you like wine, like I said before, we have a really incredible wine country on the North Fork. There's some awesome just food spots all throughout the island. If you go more in the city area, in like Queens or Brooklyn, you have a whole amazing food scene. So it's just so diverse in terms of what you can do here, and it's a really fun little spot.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And it's from what you've told me, I mean, I wasn't expecting to hear about, farms and wineries and that sort of thing, thinking about New York. So it really intrigues me to want to go out there and see the difference between New York City and the rest of the island.
Oh, absolutely. And, New York City is, it's amazing. And that is one of the things that, like I said, I've lived here my whole life, and I never want to take New York City for granted, because I know there's people around the world who, dream about going to New York City. And, so I know I'm extremely fortunate that I can hop on a train and go out there. And I think that's the best thing to do, is you go out to the city, you get to do some of the touristy stuff, but also some of like the more like local New York City stuff. And then you come out here and you do kind of get to see that dichotomy. And it's like, neither one is worse than the other, or like better than the other, I should say. They're both they're different, it's a different experience, but they're both so much fun.
Yeah, definitely. It sure sounds like it. Well, awesome. Laura, anything else that you want to share with the listeners?
I guess I would just, like we were saying before, if you're on the fence about planning the trip, plan it. If, world's uncertain right now. So if you want to get the travel insurance, get that too. But that way, you have your fail safe. But do it, plan it, go out there and tell me about your adventures too, because I'm constantly getting inspired by so many travelers and by what people do, and my list of places to visit. And I call it my short list, and my short list has many more items or many more places on it that definitely makes it like more of a long list than a short list. But just book the trip, make the drive, do whatever it is that you want to do, and and then share it if you want to. And I would love to hear about, everyone's travels as well. So inspire and get inspired.
Yep. And that's what this podcast is all about. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Well, thank you. I'm so excited that I had the opportunity to come on here and talk to you.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for taking the time. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure the listeners will as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm excited to see more of your travels too.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, not work with how this podcast is going to come out, when it's going to come out, but from now on Sunday, I'm flying out to New York City, so I'll be there Monday morning.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah, but I'm going up to Connecticut and Rhode Island for the week, but I'll be in that area.
Oh my gosh! What are you doing there?
Just exploring. I'm on a mission to make it to all 50 states, and those are 2 of the last 6 that I have left. So I'm doing what I can to get it done.
That is awesome. Well, I can't wait to see that and hear all about that. And Rhode Island, I've only been to Newport there, but Newport is beautiful and so much fun. And the best mussels I've ever had are in Rhode Island or in Newport.
Good to know. I know. I wish, especially with having this conversation, I'm like, oh, I'm going to be so close to Long Island. I should try to make it work. It might be a little bit tight on time, but I might try to make that work to make it out to Long Island.
Well, if you do, let me know.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely will. That's one of my favorite parts about travel is, you meet these people from all over the world, and then you can go visit them and just, have a local to kind of show you around too.
Exactly. It's been that's the easily the best part of like this whole travel community, like the podcast, Instagram, blogging world. I feel like it's all interconnected. And yeah, just to like have those people in your lives, it's just so cool, and it is fun, and the longer you spend, talking and interacting with people, the more the more places you actually have on your list of that you can go to and know somebody there.
Yeah, definitely. It makes the world so much smaller and so much more accessible, I feel like.
It does. It really does. And yeah, it does. It makes it smaller. And I love that because there are times where you can think about things, and I know I at least can get totally overwhelmed. But, when you have that, it's just a really cool thing. It's that reminder that we're all connected. Like you said, no matter what we look like or believe or don't believe or whatever, like we're all connected.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Laura, thanks again. I appreciate it. Appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you somewhere around the world soon.
Yes, that sounds awesome. Thank you so much. It's been great speaking with you.
Yep, same here. Have a good one, Laura.
Thank you. You too.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hey, everyone. Hope you liked the episode this week. I really enjoyed my conversation with Laura. If you want to check out more of her stuff and learn more about Long Island and see all of her travels, you can check out her blog at teachexplorerepeat.com, or you can find her on Instagram at teach.explore.repeat. I've really enjoyed her content so far, and I think you will too, so go check her out, guys. Hey everybody, Kyle here. If you enjoyed today's show and want more, you can always check out every episode on Spotify and Anchor. And now you can also listen on YouTube. Links are in the description below. If you want to see my travel pictures as well as travel pictures from guests on the show, you can check them out on Instagram. The page is called Our Travel Experiences Podcast. And if you want to share your own pictures on the Instagram page and or be a guest on the podcast, you can message me via that Instagram page or email me at ourtravelexperiences@outlook.com. I would love to see your pictures and hear about your travel experiences. And if that isn't enough for you, make sure to check out my new show, From Around the World Fridays. Every Friday, I'm taking 5 to 10 minutes to discuss one specific travel topic, whether that be questions I get from listeners, sharing some souvenirs that I've bought over the years, or discussing one particular city or country that I've been to, and so much more. You'll be able to listen to that via Spotify and Anchor as well, and be able to see the video version, which I'm really excited about, on YouTube. So check it out. I promise you won't be disappointed. And thanks again for listening, and I will see you around the world soon.